Merry Christmas, everybody. Even though it's not Christmas, and I'm hoping you're not watching this on Christmas Day either, because you should have better things to be doing. It is Friday, 23rd of December, and I finished work, yes. And I'm filming 3 tonight to really get ahead of myself, just so that I can spend a few days with the family and the kids and not have to worry about doing any filming, and just ping these up on YouTube whenever it's ready to go. So, but this particular one will be day after tomorrow, 25th of December, Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy whatever it is that you are celebrating. Happy shining lights in the darkness of a crappy year and crappy weather, and looking forward to next year, which should hopefully be 1000% better than this year has been, because it's been a bit of a dumpster fire of a year, let's face it. So please excuse my dishwasher in the background, it's chuntering away there. So I was trying to find a whiskey that was sort of Christmassy, and to be honest, I think I actually ballsed up, because Star Christmas, blah blah blah, would have been pretty much bang on, because that was a very Christmassy whiskey as well. But I've done that. So, but as it is, as I'm still working my way through my world whiskies, not that long ago, I actually had to add this one into the list and pull another one out. I was contacted on Twitter by Langatun, or Langatun, or however it's pronounced. I'm going to go with Langatun. The whiskey company directly from Twitter, who said, do you want us to send you some samples? I was like, fantastic, absolutely brilliant, that'd be great. So I've actually got 2 miniatures, this one and the other one that they do as well, and very interested in it. I think it's actually distributed in the UK by the same guy, Robert Ransom, that does the Angel's Nectar blended malt that I had a couple of months ago, I think, and even if it was him that got in touch with me, it might be that he didn't actually watch the review that I gave of Angel's Nectar, which was okay but not brilliant, because it's definitely got something, but it just felt too young. So if you are watching this, Robert, thank you very, very much, if it was you indeed that contacted me. And the reason I'm picking this for Christmas Day is they do 2 versions. One is called Old Bear, but the one I'm doing is Old Deer, and you'll see on the label that there is a deer on there, and it's kind of like reindeer, and it's as close as I could get to Christmas. And it's got red and white on the label because it's Swiss, because it is a Swiss whiskey, or a Schwisky. Now have I done more than one Swiss whiskey? I did do one, can't for the life of me remember what it's called. I can't bother to look it up at the moment, but I have covered off a Swiss whiskey, which I had acquired from the Newcastle Whisky Festival back in March. So I probably did that Swiss one March, April-ish, I think. But I've got 2 actually now. I've got 2 Swiss that I'm going to go to. So the thing I've found doing some research and sort of reading up on these bits and pieces is in sort of Central Europe. So you're looking at Germany, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Austria, which is coming up as well. There are distilleries, but they're very, very small, and they're what you would consider craft distilleries. So they're really small. Quite a few of them have previously been breweries who got into distilling, and it's very small scale. It really is kind of small batches. They're using local barley, local ingredients, so they don't have a lot of it. And it's not that they don't want to be selling the stock that they've got, and it's not that they don't want to be a success, but because they're making such small quantities of it, they can't really afford to be punting it out there with a view of increasing demand for it, because they simply cannot satisfy that demand. And it's all well and good going, well, just put the price up then. Well, no, because that's kind of knocking your local regular core customers. So it's very, very hard to find a lot of the distilleries outside of that particular region. And those that have had to kind of expand to the size where you can satisfy the demand there, because quite a few of them seem to do quite a good trade, and a good product. So this particular one, Langatun, is probably one of the bigger ones. So this is where the distillery is. It's about 30 miles northeast of Bern, which is the capital of Switzerland, not Zurich as I thought it was, or at least that's what I read. I thought it was Zurich, but the thing that I read said, it's 30 miles northeast of the capital, Bern. I was like, sure, all right, I'll go with that. And it was a brewery. This is one that was a brewery that was set up in the 1860s by a guy called Jacob Baumberger, and his son Hans ended up taking over the operation of the brewery when Jacob died. and ended up kind of adding like a peat cutting element to it, so they could focus more on kind of fruit spirits and fruit liqueurs. And you'll see a theme coming through the next few whiskies as well, in that they pretty much have all done that thing: brewery, fruit liqueurs, getting into whiskey. And it's still family owned now. It's actually Hans's grandson, Hans Baumberger III, who continues the operations. And the whiskey itself was launched in 2007. Now, in Switzerland, Swiss whiskey, Swisky, is quite a young market, because it was either 1998 or 1999. I've read two different places, and one of them said 99, one of them said 98. Around that time, one of those, I think it's 99. There used to be a ban on distilling grain and potatoes, and basically distilling alcohol from grains and potatoes. I think it stemmed from wartime, where it was almost like rationing, and they needed it for sustenance. So they banned distilling it because it was almost surplus. It was kind of an excess. We don't actually really want you to do that. And it wasn't until 1999 that the government abolished that law. And it was basically after that point, there was all these breweries that were pretty much jumping at the bit to go, we want to make whiskey, will you let us make whiskey? And then bam, they went for it. So Langatun's slightly later to the party, shall we say, but seems to be a little bit more of a bigger scale, because this, of the three that I've got another Swiss and an Austrian that I'm going to have tonight. This is the one that I could find a price for in pounds. The Whisky Exchange are selling it. So Old Deer, this is what it looks like. And you're looking at, what were they selling it for? 66 quid a bottle. Now, the difference between the two: Old Deer is unpeated, and it's matured in sherry and Chardonnay casks. The Old Bear is a peated version that is matured in Chateauneuf de Pape casks. So Chateauneuf de Pape, very famous French wine, red wine, kind of like highly regarded French, although it's one of those things that you can find at you tend to find like £5 bottle of Chateauneuf for people that are kind of, Chateauneuf, it must be really good, up to some really expensive stuff. Whereas the Old Deer, sherry and Chardonnay cask, Chardonnay white wine cask, could be a little bit interesting. Doesn't sound as unusual as the next couple I'm going to have, but Chardonnay wine casks you don't tend to often find. That's another thing that you'll find in a lot of these distilleries in and around this kind of Central European region, is a lot of them aren't necessarily using sherry casks or bourbon casks, because it's quite difficult for them to actually get them. It tends to be white wine casks, or the next one is something a little bit different. So it's 40%. Now I think they do 2 cask strength versions of each of them as well, but I just got the standard 40s, which is fine, because this is kind of I suppose you'd call their standard representation. So partly the reason for going for Old Deer rather than Old Bear was it was a bit more Christmassy, and the other reason was with it being unpeated, there's an argument that it's a little bit more marketable, it's a little bit more sort of acceptable to a wider audience. So let me get the lid back on before I knock that over and spill it everywhere. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy whatever it is you're celebrating. I hope you got lots of presents. I hope you had lots of family and friends around, and you've had a really good time. And to me, Christmas is not about presents, although I've got 3 young kids, so it's a big part of it. But it's more about just in crappy, dark, cold, rubbish weather conditions, getting together with your friends, sticking lights outside your house, brightening up the world, thinking positively, getting everybody round, getting everybody in the warmth, and just being together and having fun. And that is what Christmas is all about for me. So, here's to you, here's to everybody watching. Thank you very much for following me through this year. We're very, very near the end. I'm getting quite excited about the end of Challenge Bash, although I could do with getting some more tickets sold, please. But we've got some very exciting things going on, and some of the stuff in this auction, it's going to be amazing. So, age statement. Don't know what the age statement is. There's no age statement on the bottle at all. Nope. And so it's a no age statement. I think it's about 7-8 year old. I think that is my rough estimate anyway. Colour wise, good colouring on that actually as well. Whether colouring's been added, who knows. But quite a kind of amber colour, I would go with that. It's quite light on the nose, but there's a lovely sweetness to it. almost slightly oily too. It's very silky, real kind of influence of that sherry cask. And what the Chardonnay casks seem to be doing is just lightening it up. There's a light fruit feel to it. There's a very soft, very gentle, sort of soft banana-iness and almost a tropical fruit. There's a touch of mango in there as well. And I think that's Chardonnay cask that's kind of giving this light fruitiness, as well as a richer, slightly thicker sherry element as well. It's very sultanery and like a light fruit cake, not particularly dense, not particularly heavy, but it's actually a pretty good Christmas whiskey, to be perfectly honest. It really will go quite. Shut up, dishwasher. It would go well with a Christmas pud to lighten it up a little bit. It's a lighter whiskey, but it's very, very silky smooth. Very easy to drink indeed. Not much kick at the back of the throat, not much heat. Nice rich mouthfeel though. It is very, very drinkable indeed. And there's a nice balance to it. There's a little bit of sharpness, a little bit more of an alcohol kick, but it's 40%, so it's not massive. It's got quite a decent finish as well, but there's a really good range of fruit going on in there. Like I say, there's kind of a very soft, gentle banana. There is a little bit of tropical fruit, but then there's a sherry element. There's almost a milk chocolatiness to it. There's a slight nuttiness to it as well. A bit like a peanut brittle, but it's not overly caramelized. That is very good. Very, very good indeed. And it makes me want to try the Old Bear, because I do wonder what that peated version's like. If it's got the depth of body, a peated element added to that, if that's essentially the basis with the peated version added in, I think would probably work really well, because there's a really nice sweet warmth that just kind of sits on your chest. That is good stuff. That's eminently drinkable. If I was going to knock it, or if I was going to think, right, why wouldn't people like this? It's probably slightly too light for some people. I think some people might just neck it and go, yeah, there's not a lot to it. There is. You just sort of have to give it a bit and sort of let it play with you for a little bit. Sounds a bit weird. You've got to search for the flavours a little bit, which is no bad thing. If you're looking for just a sipping whiskey that you don't really want to think about, that's absolutely fine. But you might suddenly realise just how many flavours are there. Good. Like that a lot. There is a nice sweet element to it as well, but it's not cloying or anything like that. So, Christmas is done. Not yet, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I hope you all have a very enjoyable holiday weekend, and I hope it's filled with joy and love and none of this rubbish that's been going on elsewhere. Thank you very much for sticking with me or joining me if this is the first time. And I'm rambling now. I am rambling because it's a Friday night and I'm tired and I still need to wrap my wife's presents. At least I don't need to buy them, although I wasn't far off. Merry Christmas everyone. I shall see you at the next one. Cheers.